now, as we're getting through the arguments of, existence of God, non-existence of God, we're going from, medieval to maybe even ancient to medieval to Enlightenment era. And now we're actually going, right now with this lecture, we are actually at the start of existentialism. And the guy who, one of my personal favorite philosophers, Soren Kierkegaard, when I read his work, for example, I think he's just the most brilliant guy. Maybe his writing is not far from the level of Shakespeare to me. Obviously, Shakespeare is more heralded, but so this Kierkegaard guy, and he's widely acknowledged as the father of existentialism. He lived in the mid 1800s, and he was religious, even though existentialism as a theory, as a philosophy, rejects religion. It rejects God and stuff. But he was this dichotomy where he was religious, and then he was the father of this existentialism, which is all about man figuring out the meaning for life and independence, and here's how he mitigated this, right? So the highest sort of way we can live is, even though we cannot prove God exists, we can have that kind of faith, such a faith that it's almost a leap. What happens when you leap? Your one foot, one foot is off the ground, and the other foot is also starts to be off the ground, and your feet aren't planted, but you trust. The leap of faith. You trust, and that's a phrase that's highly associated with Kierkegaard. The leap of faith. You trust that you will land when you leap, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't leap. And that's how he views a single individual's relationship with religion, is that leap of faith. You kind of have to surrender to what you believe, and that's like a sort of higher relationship with God. And that's kind of it, it's not it. He has a lot of depth in his work, but I think for our purposes, we want to. He's a good kind of he's a good inflection point where after him it was all like no God, no religion, right? And he's one of the last guys who truly respected philosophers whose work has stood the test of time and the test of rigor and scrutiny. Certainly, he was one of the last guys who his ideas were combining the two, the modern thought and the thought of all history, right? Like medieval enlightenment, ancient medieval enlightenment, and then sort of he's the guy who sort of changed the trajectory, because ultimately it's your own relationship with God. You kind of define it. You started. You have to get there. So it's you and God and nothing else. And I really actually like that, because it gets rid of the politics completely. That's partially why I really like that. There's no politics, and you can't have politics on this. You want to be spiritual? That's Kierkegaard's challenge to the modern man, right? Okay, you and God, have at it, enjoy it, but don't make others. Don't force your thoughts on others. Don't think that yours is better. You want to be spiritual? You want to believe in God? Go for it. But don't proselytize. Don't convert. Don't have arguments or conflicts. There's no room for that in Kierkegaard's ideas, which is why I personally really like that. And so from him, we have an inflection point. Now we're going to talk about why God doesn't exist.